Hello everyone, Crazy Camper here once again to do the episode 4 review, rankings, predictions, and discussion. Please subscribe to me up here. I also have a show called Ontario Parks that I'll link in the description. I am by no means a survival expert. I'll repeat that again. I'm just an avid fan of the show and I love to camp. So on to our rankings competition. Fijar0619 predicted Tracy would be out next. He was the only one to do so. So he has 3 points now, the rest of us have 2. If you want to jump in, please do so. I'll start you at 2 because Desmond and Mary Kate were kind of by default points. So we'll start there. Another poster called John Lord, he broke down scientifically the poison of red tide and that even taste testing a small bit you can get really sick from. So I was wrong to say maybe you could try that. Second, he also came up with a good idea that maybe Randy could use a battery from the camera to start a fire. Now, I saw Survivorman do that before. It will require destroying the cameras. You need the wiring to connect the positive and negative terminals together in the wire to create the spark, but that's always an option unless you weren't allowed to do it, but you could just do it off camera, I guess. Second, we were deciding on what you're allowed to hunt out there. I looked up black bear season. It goes from September 10th to December 10th, and it costs about $50 to get a license and a hunting tag, but you can legally hunt them if you do that. And I also watched episode 0, which they showed the casting of it. They actually had tryouts. 20 of them started off, and then they cut it down to 10 for the show. And the commissioner said that you have the rights as every BC resident to hunt and fish, whatever they're allowed to, as long as you follow regulations. So I guess you could hunt and kill and eat a black bear, but after December 10th they're out of season, I guess, because they're in their dens and that'd be too easy to get them. And also they probably have young with them then. But yeah, so you can kill a bear. And obviously we saw what happened to Tracy. Oh, we also wanted to mention that I think the show started a little earlier this season. The weather is really nice. Allan won at 56 days last year, and he finished off just before Christmas. So they must have started in late October. I think they started in late September this year to give them a better shot because the weather seems really nice and not much rain yet, although the storm's coming after we saw. But yeah, so the rankings. Tracy Wilson finished at number 8. 7, Randy. Number 6, Justin. Number 5, David. Number 4, Larry. Number 3, Nicole. Number 2, Jose. Number 1, Mike Lowe. So we'll obviously just talk about Tracy first. So we see her at the very end of day 7, and she taps after Mama Bear and her cub were bugging her. The flare scared her away, but she was really shaken up. She talked about how there's a rage monster inside of her that came out, and she doesn't like that part of her history in her past, so she immediately called for a pickup, tapping out right in the middle of the night, and they came on a boat and got her. So that's it for her. That was kind of an upsetting moment for her, and I thought she was going to last a lot longer than she did, so that was a surprise. Okay, moving on to number 7. I'm putting Randy in there because I think he's going to be out next without having his ferro rod for the fire. He'll be struggling with that, especially when the winds and rains come. And he also still hasn't eaten anything that we know of. I wish we knew what some of these characters were doing from day 7 to 10 on this past episode 4, because they weren't showing them, so that kind of annoys me. But I think on the next time they show him catching a mouse, and he said that's the only meat he's had in 12 days, so I think he's going to be out next. Aside from him, let's move on to number 6, Justin. Now he's one of the ones really complaining about being hungry, but he did use his hammock as a fishing net, and you saw he caught a fish. I didn't like how he was filleting it with the knife in his hand, but he seemed to do an alright job on it. And that's all we saw of him. We still haven't even seen his camp yet, so I'm curious to know what he's been up to there. And moving on to number 5, we have David McIntyre. He actually commented on one of my other reviews and told me how his name was pronounced. He said that the people in Brazil often mispronounce it too, so he didn't really seem offended. He seems like a nice guy. But I'll put his link to his YouTube channel below, along with other cast members I found. But he keeps complaining about his hunger. He wants chicken and tacos. And in this episode, we saw him make a net out of rope he found on the beach, so that can increase his odds if he gets more nets out there. But he still hasn't been eating much, so I'm concerned about that. He also said the fish he catches eventually that we saw in the intro is a kelp greenling. Apparently it's a saltwater kelp forest dweller, that's what he called it. And I was also impressed the way he used spruce resin, and he was bashing up cedar bark with the rock to make, so you can make fires out of that. That was pretty ingenious. So he should be around for a little while, especially because he's going to be eating that fish. But moving on to number 4, I had to move Larry up because now he's actually eating. He caught 4 fish that episode with fishing line and hooks. He's the first one to do that off a hook in the show that we see. And maybe his spot is a little better than I thought. Those rocks in the deeper area, I think the bigger fish are coming in hunting the smaller fish. So if he could keep nailing fish there, he's going to have a longer stay than I thought. But he still has a rough spot. We'll see how his shelter is with the storm coming that he had to change and make. But moving on to Nicole in number 3. So we see Nicole on day 9. She's counting her days by putting a notch on a stick, just like Allan did. So I like that similarity there. And I'm surprised she waited till day 9 to put her gill net in. I thought maybe she should be more proactive because you only have to be there when it sets up and it fishes for you. So, and then day 10 she goes to check the gill net, but there's a bear and 2 cubs. So I'm on bear with the cubs, and that bear is actually bigger than looked like the one that was bugging Tracy. It saw it on its hind legs, and it's a fair size. In fact, those bears could even be eating the fish that could have been in the gill net. It might even destroy the gill net, so that's not really good for her. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm still concerned about her not having any weight on her. Once her food rations run out, we'll see what happens to her. She also has a great shelter though, and I know the storm's coming, so we'll see how that holds up. And then I'll have to put Jose number 2. Of course, we don't see him this episode, so I wonder what he's been up to, but the fact they didn't even show him, and I know he makes a canoe because he falls over in it in the intro, so he's going to be around a while, so I'll keep him in number 2. And Mike, I'll stay in number 1. So we see him in the morning of day 8, and he's building a cool drying rack. Among other projects he's working, he engineered a faucet which works hands-free. I don't know if you've ever cleaned a fish yourself, but afterwards you go to wash your hands, you got to touch the tap, and that gets all gunky, and then you got to clean the tap, and so now he can do that without touching anything. So that's pretty neat. And those make work projects, like he found some beach garbage and brought up a bunch of gravel to make a cooking stone fireplace, and they keep your mind busy, and he even mentioned that, so it shows that he has the right mindset to stick around a while. And he hasn't even complained about food yet one bit, so maybe he's been eating well, or he's just not a complainer on the camera. So we'll see how long he lasts, but right now I got to keep him in number 1. So for next weekend, the little trailer at the end for the next time on Alone, it looks like Randy's struggling. He catches a mouse that says he hasn't even ate any meat besides that in 12 days, so I don't know how much longer he's really going to survive, especially with his fire problems. And now the big test is coming because the first fall storm is coming in. So some of these guys, like Randy, they have a pretty open shelter, so all that wind and rain is going to blow in. When someone like Nicole makes sure she has a dry shelter with walls up, so I think Nicole has the best shelter so far we see on there. But it'll look interesting to see what happens. Please like and subscribe, comment, give me your rankings if you want. Let's keep the discussion going. We'll be almost halfway through the season because there's 12 episodes, and we'll be seeing episode number 5 on Thursday. So I look forward to commenting and talking to you guys. See you later until next week. Bye-bye.